Now let's take an in-depth look into this year's general election and what we can expect going forward. We have our Oh Jung-hee joining us in the studio. Jung-hee, wonderful as always to have you with us today.
Hi, Mark.
There were some key candidates that many people had their eye on prior to this election. It was Powerhouse going up against Powerhouse. Gives a run through of how it went for them in the key battleground districts first.
For that, we'll have to start with Seoul's Jongno district. It's a highly symbolic district because the winner of the district has widely been considered to have a higher chance of becoming president one day. At this election, two former prime ministers ran for this district, and the ruling Democratic Party candidate Lee Nak-yon won against his conservative rival Hwang Kyo-ahn with over 58% support. Former presidential spokesperson Ko Min-jung, also running as the ruling Democratic Party candidate, won Seoul's Gwangjin-B district. Meanwhile, Tae-min or Tae-ho will become the first ever North Korean defector to win a seat in South Korea's National Assembly. He was once North Korea's #2 diplomat at the London embassy, but defected to South Korea in 2016 and ran for Gangnam A district.
It's remarkable that a North Korean defector is now going to be sitting in South Korea's National Assembly, and he won in a district in Gangnam, of all places, which is one of the wealthiest parts of Seoul.
True.
Now, regarding the newly implemented proportional representation system, this is like a 50-50 split system.
Right.
It was adopted to diversify the makeup of the National Assembly. The question on everyone's lips today is, did it work?
My answer to that would have to be no, because the system was adopted to give seats to as many different parties as possible within the National Assembly, because the South Korean politics has been dominated by the two largest parties, conservatives and the liberal, and the minor parties up until now did not really have much say. But the system did not really work that way for this year's general election. The largest political parties created so-called satellite parties that put forward candidates only for proportional representation. So their candidates would belong to parties with different names, but basically with the same goal. This in turn rather solidified the power grip of the two largest parties and failed to diversify the parliament. Some pundits even call this a retreat in South Korea's democracy.
It is odd how they voted for this, and that it was a huge issue at the time, saying they wanted to diversify the National Assembly, but then the main parties went on to make these satellite parties themselves, almost gaming the system to go against what they were saying in the first place.
Right.
But there's no getting over the fact that it was a massive, huge night for the ruling Democratic Party. Probably a few sore heads in their office today. It was somewhat expected, especially towards the end of the campaign season. This is unlike any election we've ever seen in South Korea. But still, how are the analysts, how are the public evaluating what we saw on Wednesday?
Well, the general view is that the South Korean public chose stability over keeping check of the government. That is, the South Korean nation chose to support a Moon Jae-in administration instead of challenging it. The South Korean government seems to be handling the coronavirus outbreak in the country pretty well. So experts say that the public wants to encourage the government to work harder through the pandemic. Now, obviously, the ruling party is going to be huge in the next National Assembly, so definitely it'll give a boost to the current administration in working out state affairs. No lame duck status for the president. The ruling party will be able to pass legislations more easily because it holds well over half of the parliamentary seats and won't need cooperation from minor parties. The first thing on the agenda will likely be allocating a supplementary budget to provide emergency relief payments to households affected by the coronavirus. Mark.
Yes, so President Moon Jae-in is not going to be a lame duck president for the remainder of his term. That happens quite a lot here in South Korea when the general election comes in the second part of the president's term. So he's still going to wield a lot of power. Good stuff, Jung-hee. Thank you as always for the wonderful coverage on the election, and we'll see you next time.
Oh, my pleasure.